What defines an American city? Is it the gleaming promise of a skyline, or the shadows that gather in the streets below? A distant siren cuts through the evening air, a sound so common in some neighborhoods it barely registers, becoming part of the city's ambient hum. This is the dichotomy of urban America, a landscape of immense opportunity, and, in certain corners, a landscape of profound and persistent danger. While the vast majority of our cities are safe, a select few grapple with crime rates that distort the national average and dominate the headlines. To navigate this complex reality, we must rely on the cold, hard language of data. Our ranking is built on an impartial foundation, the number of violent and property crimes reported per 100,000 residents. This standardized metric allows us to compare a sprawling metropolis with a smaller urban center on equal footing. But what story do these numbers truly tell? Crime is rarely a blanket covering an entire city. It is a virus that clusters, concentrating its devastating effects in specific neighborhoods while leaving others untouched. A city's frightening average can be the result of intense violence in just a few square miles. To misunderstand this is to misunderstand the nature of urban life itself, a mosaic of safe havens and high-risk zones, often existing side by side. These statistics are not just numbers. They represent real communities and the challenges they face. They are the starting point for a deeper, more vital conversation. Our journey begins in a city where the rhythm of soul music is often tragically silenced by the sound of gunfire, a place where the probability of becoming a victim is shockingly high. That distant siren is no longer distant. In Memphis, Tennessee, it is a constant, chilling reminder of the shadows that stretch long after sunset. This is a city of soul and blues, but also a city of staggering violence. The numbers are a brutal indictment.
The violent crime rate soars past 2,300 cases for every 100,000 residents. That is more than 5 times the national average. For many, daily life is a constant calculation of risk. Around 300 homicides stain the city's calendar each year, while over 12,000 vehicles are stolen from its streets. A city on edge. And in the most afflicted neighborhoods, the statistical probability of becoming a crime victim is a terrifying 1 in 12. Following the Mississippi River north, we arrive at another epicenter, St. Louis, Missouri. Known as the Gateway to the West, its iconic arch often stands in stark contrast to its reputation as one of America's most violent cities. Here, the homicide rate has frequently topped 65 per 100,000 people, a figure that rivals conflict zones. The broader violent crime rate mirrors that of Memphis, exceeding 2,000 incidents per 100 inhabitants. When the odds of falling victim to a violent act are roughly 1 in 50 citywide, how does a community hold on to hope? The headlines report the cold data, but each number represents a shattered family, a traumatized neighborhood, and a community struggling for answers. What happens when the roar of industry goes silent? A rusted factory sign creaks in the wind over a vacant lot. The only sound is that familiar siren. This is Detroit, a city haunted by the ghost of its industrial might. For decades, it has been a fixture on these lists, with violent crime rates exceeding 2,000 per 100,000 residents. Murders often hover between 40 and 45 per 100,000. The city that put America on wheels became infamous for having those wheels stolen. It was long called the nation's car theft capital, with over 15,000 vehicles taken each year. A similar story of decay echoes just a few hours east in Cleveland.
There, the violent crime rate is approximately 1,600 per 100,000 people, and burglaries top 5,000 annually. But what is the true cost when the engines of progress fall silent? In Cleveland, the answer is tragically clear: it's children. A shocking child poverty rate exceeding 30% is a primary driver of crime, creating a desperate cycle passed from one generation to the next. These are not just statistics, they are the deep, enduring scars of economic collapse. When does a city's very name become a synonym for danger? That siren echoes again, this time through the narrow streets of Baltimore. A single porch light flickers on a historic row house, illuminating a child's forgotten bicycle as the wail grows louder. This is a city that consistently grapples with one of the highest homicide rates in the nation. Baltimore records between 300 and 350 murders each year. This translates to a staggering rate of over 50 homicides for every 100,000 residents. For several consecutive years, this American city ranked among the top 3 most violent urban centers in the entire world, outside of an active war zone. It's a statistic so grim it is difficult to comprehend. We journey westward to the nation's heartland, to Kansas City, a place struggling with a more recent but equally devastating surge in violence. The city now records over 200 murders annually, a grim milestone that has placed it in certain years among the top 5 most lethal cities per capita in the United States. Beyond homicides, residents face over 1,200 robberies each year, a constant threat that punctuates daily life with fear. Danger doesn't always wear the face of a metropolis. That same siren echoes just as loudly in smaller cityscapes, places often overlooked in the national conversation. Our journey takes us south, to unexpected epicenters of violence. We arrive in Little Rock, Arkansas.
On a warm evening, a porch swing might creak on a quiet tree-lined street, the very picture of suburban peace. Yet this image belies a terrifying statistical reality. The city's violent crime rate soars above 1,800 incidents per 100,000 residents, and this danger is intensely concentrated. In certain neighborhoods, the crime rate is a staggering 7 to 8 times higher than the national average. A similar story unfolds in Birmingham, Alabama, a city forged in steel and fire. Here, the rate of violent crime hovers around 1,500 per 100,000 people, with between 150 and 170 homicides recorded each year. When specific areas within a city have crime rates 5 to 6 times the norm, it sows seeds of division and fear, creating invisible walls that shape every daily decision. Not all danger comes from a weapon's flash. Some of it is the sharp sound of shattering glass. The siren now signals a different, pervasive violation. In Oakland, California, a visitor parks their car for just 20 minutes, returning to find a window smashed, a laptop gone forever. This scene repeats over 20,000 times a year in a city known for its staggering rate of property crime. Oakland has historically ranked in the top 3 nationwide for robberies per capita. With over 1,000 armed robberies annually, the line between simple theft and violent confrontation is terribly thin. This epidemic of theft isn't confined to the Bay Area. Thousands of miles away, in the high desert of the Southwest, another city battles the same ghost. Albuquerque, New Mexico faces a staggering property crime rate exceeding 6,000 incidents per 100,000 residents. The city is a consistent fixture in the nation's top 10 for automobile theft, with nearly 10,000 cars vanishing from its sun-baked streets each year.
This isn't just random opportunity. It's a deeply entrenched criminal enterprise. That siren we've heard is not the disease, it is merely the symptom. The statistics from Detroit, Memphis, and St. Louis are the fever spikes of a deeper societal illness. To understand the danger, we must look past the crime scene tape. A deeper pattern emerges. Consider the hollowed-out factories of Detroit and Cleveland. When the manufacturing jobs that supported entire families disappear, the social fabric unravels. This devastation creates a vacuum filled by poverty and crime. This concentrated poverty was not an accident, it was engineered. Decades of discriminatory housing policies drew lines on maps, starving specific neighborhoods of resources for generations. This explains why Little Rock and Birmingham have districts with crime rates 5 times the national average. With the ladders of opportunity removed, is it any surprise that some turn to desperate measures? The result is a predictable cycle. Underfunded schools fail to provide a path out. Mental health services are absent. These historical decisions still draw the maps of inequality and danger in our cities today. But what about the people who hear that siren every day as the very soundtrack of their lives? Beyond the cold statistics, there are millions of untold stories of profound resilience. In a West Baltimore neighborhood, a grandmother kneels on a Saturday morning, planting marigolds in a reclaimed vacant lot, a defiant splash of color against the urban gray. The laughter of children playing nearby offers a beautiful counterpoint to the city's familiar rhythm. This is the true human cost, not a number on a chart, but the daily, quiet courage it takes to cultivate hope where despair tries to grow. These are not just crime scenes, they are homes. These glimmers of hope are forged in necessity. In Detroit, communities are not waiting for a savior.
They are transforming blighted properties into urban farms and vibrant community centers. It is the slow, arduous work of reclaiming a city, block by painstaking block. This fight, waged not with weapons but with shovels and an unyielding belief in a better future, is the most vital narrative unfolding in these cities today. It's a battle for the very soul of urban America. That siren has finally faded, but its echo remains. We have journeyed through a sobering reality, a side of America often ignored. We have seen the staggering rates of violence in Memphis and St. Louis. We have felt the deep economic despair fueling crime in Detroit and Cleveland. We have tallied the relentless property crimes in Oakland and Albuquerque. These statistics are not just data, they are the daily calculus of survival for millions of citizens. The shocking odds of 1 in 12 in parts of Memphis, or the homicide rates that place Baltimore on a global stage, are not random acts of chaos. They are the predictable, painful outcomes of systemic failures, of poverty that grips entire generations, and of opportunities that have long since vanished. After seeing these interconnected patterns stretch across the country, can we still pretend these are isolated, local problems? The struggles in one city are a profound reflection on the entire nation. This reality demands more than awareness. It demands a radical change in our approach. The solution requires a deep, sustained investment in the people and places left behind. The numbers we've shared are not a final verdict, but a stark diagnosis. The story of these cities is still being written, a chapter at a time. The real question is, who will hold the pen?